by the way, let me have a little bit of correction. A certificate is actually the standard for a digital certificate is not X.905, but actually it's 509. So let me make that correction, 509. And so once the certificate gets created, it's time to distribute the certificate. However, again, we have actually the same dilemma here, because if the certificate is delivered, how do you know the authenticity of the certificate itself? So that's why the certificate itself has to be signed by the certificate authority. How do we know whether the certificate is signed by an authentic certificate authority or not? So that's another question. So usually what happens is when you actually get a web browser has built-in set of public keys for certain certificate authorities. So those public keys are kept in, again, another certificate, and that's actually called the root certificate usually. So one thing you have to remember is we have to understand the client-side infrastructure, PKI. So one way of doing it is your web browsers. So the web browsers used by client already comes with a built-in public key of the well-known certificate authorities come with. So you don't really have to prove the fact that public key you can use to decrypt the signed certificate is authentic or not authentic. That part is already done. So all you have to do is actually, in this case, so the client-side steps when it comes to verifying the certificate itself is this. So let me just make sure before we move on. So these three initial steps, I think I missed one thing here again. So public key owner generates a public-private key pair, good. And then the public key owner sends the public key to the certificate authority, and the certificate authority is responsible for verifying the identity of the public key owner. That's good. After that, CA actually puts the public key in another document called digital certificate. Okay, and then one more thing is, and then CA actually signs the digital certificate itself with its private key. Okay, so now you're ready. Now you're ready to send the certificate. So once this is done, the certificate is sent to the user of the certificate. This certificate, when you actually get connected to a website, for example, I'm trying to use something like the secure socket layer, the very first thing you have to do is to do the key exchanges using the public-private key encryption. So you have to get a public key first from the website. So one way of doing it is you keep your certificate. You just got from the certificate authority. So the web server. Now I'm talking about the web server side. So what infrastructure the web server needs to use PKI. So the web server, they keep digital certificates issued by CAs, certificate authorities, and when a client actually talks to the web server, let's say this is you have your web browser, when it talks to the web server actually sends the certificate together with whatever document you requested. So in order for the client to verify the authenticity of the document. Of course, the document will be digitally signed. So for the client to verify the digital signature, the client needs the public key, and the public key is now provided inside digital certificate provided together with the document. So basically the steps will be, so when the normal steps, so let me see, transactions, client, server, transaction, digital certificates. It will be like this. Step 1 is client. The client makes a request for a document. Could be a web page, basically. Then the server sends the document with a digital certificate. And now the client, once it receives the digital certificate, before it uses the public key, is to first of all verify the authenticity of the digital certificate using its built-in certificate authority public keys, one of them, and then so you can verify that certificate is authentic. Once you do that, if the certificate is authentic, then you can now use, so the client can now extracts public key from the digital certificate, uses it. So one way of using it is actually, if you get the document may be coming with the digital signature, and then you can use that public key to verify the digital signature and so on. So this is how digital certificate is used.